Mike, you're live.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear the usual music, so thank you, Liam. So welcome everybody to this month's very special Hangout, the AWB Monthly Hangout. I'm Mike Simmons, President and founder of Astronomers Without Borders. What makes this one special is that we're just a few days from the beginning of Global Astronomy Month 2015. And we have a panel of guests here, some familiar to you and some not, people who are working on making this the biggest Global Astronomy Month ever. And we're going to spend this time working, describing on what work is being done for Global Astronomy Month and how you can get involved and what you should look forward to and what some very exciting new things as well, I believe. So first up, I'd like to welcome a somewhat sleepy but still with us GAM coordinator, Global Astronomy Month coordinator Chirstie McMonigal, coming to us from Sydney, Australia, where the sun is just risen, I believe.
Yeah, it's just coming up now.
Okay. Well, Chirstie has not been on our Hangouts before, despite the fact that she was the coordinator for GAM 2014 and was involved in things ever since then, in between the two, because she lives in such a different time zone. We don't usually manage to get her on at a reasonable time. But we're glad to have you this time, Chirstie, because there is a lot of new going on now. And let's start by looking back at GAM as well. Some of the things that really went well that you think during 2014 that were exciting that are going to be repeated, and then maybe we'll get into some of the new stuff that we're going to have as well.
Sure. I think one of the really big events last year that went quite well was the Global Star Party. It goes well every year. We had heaps of clubs getting involved and sending in pictures to our Facebook and Twitter and registering the events and writing post-event reports. And it was really nice with that event just to see how many clubs across the world were willing to share their star parties with us. That was a really, really lovely program to be involved in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have some good pictures from that as well, and there's some new things going on as far as the Global Star Party as well that we can talk about. And I'm just going to sort of shout out here to Liam here, the voice behind everything, the big booming voice that talks to us from the disembodied voice. And Liam, you know, if you want to bring up some of those photos of GAM in general, because Chirstie mentioned how people shared with us on Facebook, one of the new things that we're going to have is better facilities now for sharing those things on our website as well. I mean, here is one that that Liam is showing that was during Global Astronomy Month, for example. One People, One Sky, Afghan children. I happen to know the young man in the pictures there who's leading these. This is actually in Iran, and these are Afghan refugees. And this is part of what he was doing for Global Astronomy Month, sharing it with everybody. So, Chirstie, that's, of course, looking at amateur astronomers, that's what everybody does. I mean, there are those who spend their nights all alone taking pictures, collecting weak photons from distant objects. But most people around the world seems to be sharing with everybody in the same fashion that he's doing there.
Yeah, and it's really nice that people, it's one of the few areas of science, I think, where people are so willing to share and get everyone involved and get other people excited by astronomy.
Mm-hmm. And let's see what else you have there, Liam. Let's give us another one that gives us an idea of where these things are happening. So this is well, this is a great one here, and you can see the logos. And one of the things that's new is we have changed the GAM logo. You can see it there. It's part of it with on Christie's lower third, but this is a star party that took place in Yemen, and it looks like actually it's Sunday, because which always makes for better pictures because everybody's sunlit. And I'm sorry, I think I said Yemen. This is Oman, right next door to Yemen, in southern part of the Arabian Peninsula. And you know what always strikes me, Chirstie, is that the clothes are different. The beards may be different, different things like that, but you know, we got the same telescope set up there, and if the people didn't look a little different, you wouldn't have any idea where this is. I think even in Australia, Massachusetts, which is down under compared to me, you have the same sun and everything else.
Yeah, it's true. The parties, if you don't notice that, yeah, the differences in the clothing and things, then you really would have no idea where they were taken, because the actual celebration and actual star parties, whether they're Sunday or Global Star Party, all look the same.
So let's bring in Andrew, and I wish we don't can't do a split screen here, but maybe we can go back and forth between you guys. But Andrew Fizakis is the communications manager, and he comes to us from his home in Montreal, in Canada. Andrew, welcome, and you've seen these pictures, and to me, what excites me, which makes sense because I founded this, and it's based on the fact that astronomy is so universal. Uh, what are your thoughts about it? You've been a blogger and journalist in this for a long time.
Oh yeah, definitely, and an avid amateur astronomer. I mean, I've been a stargazer for over 30 years. I love it, and I have a passion for sharing it. So that's what's so great. What gets me so pumped up about being part of AWB, because this is sort of the ultimate, isn't it, in terms of sharing and getting in touch with literally the entire world. And like you just mentioned with Chirstie, is this connection that everyone has. We share that sky. It's the same sky throughout the world. It's fantastic to be able to see that. And yeah, I mean, you're looking at these pictures, right? You look at these pictures and you see that equipment, right? And it's really amazing, some of the equipment that you have in different parts of the world, and it's progressed so much, hasn't it, in the last few decades? I mean, it's not those small department store telescopes, or these are some really fantastic equipment. Some of them are very advanced, and you can actually do research with some of this equipment that's out there. And what's nice is that you've got dedicated amateur astronomers that are bringing this beautiful equipment out to share with the public in their local region, and you can see the excitement. In fact, Mike, if you don't mind, I can actually show some images from last year, from 2014. I've got a collection here. Let me see if I can share that with everyone, because I think it's really exciting to see some of these pictures. So I'm going to bring this up on
This is what it's all about.
This is what it's all about, isn't it? Now, here's some really cool stuff that I was just so tickled pink to get this stuff from people. We put out a call on our social media last year. We want the same thing again, to have people send stuff in. We want them to share their reports. We want to share images. And so this one, for instance, is taken in India last year, sky watching sessions. And you just look at the people's faces. You could see it's just there. You could see smiles all around. They're all excited. They're really happy. It's a joyous occasion. And to be under the stars with a group of people, there's nothing like it. If you've never actually done this before, this is a great opportunity to not just get a better knowledge of the sky, but also understand how telescopes work. If you've ever been interested in purchasing one, or understanding the sky, learning how to navigate the sky, learning how to use the equipment. And these groups of amateur astronomers just love the idea of having families come out. And that's the other thing, is very family-oriented, these parties. And here, just look at it all around. This one's from the Philippines over here last year, looking at Jupiter and Saturn. That was the main focus of this particular event in the Philippines, put on by the Astronomical League of the Philippines. Great shots. They've got posters out helping to explain what the people are looking at. They're lining up.
There is even a gas station behind there. This is really sidewalk astronomy.
It's the ultimate in sidewalk astronomy, isn't it? And it's all types of equipment, even small equipment. In this picture from New Delhi, you can see it's a small, modest telescope, but yet even with something as small as that, you can bring out the moons of Jupiter, can't you? Something like that would allow you to see that the Galilean moons, the 4 moons that Galileo back in 1609 first saw. And these are things that general public, will not be familiar with, generally speaking.
Yeah, and even that little telescope was better than what Galileo had. Going back a couple, Andrew, you flipped by something pretty quick.
Yes.
What is this? That's fascinating.
That's that was
another area of India.
yes, yes. It's taken in Chennai. Excuse my pronunciation,
Chennai,
but
used to be Madras.
yeah, it's a planetarium visit by school children,
Perfect.
and trying to get them all interested and pumped up
Yeah.
about astronomy. It's a
And I
special
want to
event.
mention something about astronomy in India as well as much of South Asia, is that astronomy is presented as the face of science in many ways because astrology is very big. And it's accepted. More than 90% of the people look up their horoscopes and their predictions from that. And the people doing this are presenting real science. And so it's very, very important in that respect.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many things, that this one again is from Iran, and I mean, you look at that instrument that they have set up. It's quite impressive. That instrument you would find anywhere in the world. Here in Montreal, I have in my local amateur group exactly that kind of Dobsonian telescopes that
Hmm.
allow us to really see even deep sky objects, and you can do research looking at asteroid oppositions and things like that. You can really do amazing things with the modern day equipment. And we're so fortunate that this has proliferated throughout the world, and you find them in all regions around the world, these wonderful that is really unlocking some of the stuff. And
Yeah,
kids are so excited to use this kind of instruments too, aren't
absolutely.
they?
And in Iran, which I've been going to for 16 years now, and they had very, very, very few telescopes when I first went there, and now they're all over the place. Here's a solar event from Tunisia, which I visited and is extremely active in astronomy. A small country, and they had a revolution a few years ago, but astronomy has actually boomed since then.
Yeah, and look at the lineup. Look at the lineup. People just, waiting to have a peek through that telescope, looking at the sun. It's amazing.
Small inflatable planetarium. This is a very, very simple planetarium here, uh, but it's very effective. The difference between having a telescope and no telescope is huge, and the same thing applies for the planetarium. So, and Chirstie, we're flipping through these things, and you're being quiet over there. Oh, this is Omsk in Russia, branch of the Russian Geographical Society, an optics shop. Four Eyes for young children. Quiz winners receive prizes and so on. It's really something for everybody. So, Chirstie, this represents some of the places that we're in contact with and that take part. There are other observational programs. As there are in some of these, I'm reminded that last one was the Red Planet, and here we are in Brazil now. So, what other observing type programs do we have?
For GAM 2015 or from 2014?
2015.
Well, in 2015, we've got what's quite exciting is our observing challenges that we've just started. So these were compiled by the Astronomical League, and we've got 4 different observing challenges that people can take part in. We're calling them challenges, but they're designed for anyone from a novice to an experienced astronomer to have a go at. And there's a range of different topics to look at. And the idea is to try and do something you haven't done before, or try and see a range of related objects. So one of the really cool ones is looking at looking at the surface of the moon and seeing locations on the moon that had historical significance, because astronomers in the past thought that they were areas that were changing, perhaps indicating life on the moon, or that the moon was active volcanically or something like that.
Wow.
We know that that's not. Yep.
It's
Sorry?
not true?
It's not true. So no, there's no life on the moon.
Okay, so
and it's not currently volcanically active.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time looking at the moon when I started in astronomy back in over 40 years ago, and I got pretty familiar with it. But this sounds like it's different kinds of objects. These are not the things that I was looking for. Do you have any examples? Am I putting you on the spot? Do you have to come up with something? But historically important in terms of what people used to think, what might have been a volcano or what might have indicated life. Now that one I don't remember. We had the canals on Mars, of course, well into the 70s until we had a spacecraft that went by there.
So there's a few different examples. So for example, a lot of the craters that they thought were getting bigger or were so changing in size due to, one was ocean erosion was a theory for it, and another one was a crater changing due to a volcano forming.
How long?
Another one was...
How far back do these ideas go?
The earliest observation that we'd be looking at was one from 1761, which was where Giovanni Domenico Cassini thought he saw a misty formation between two craters and thought it was perhaps a cloud.
Yeah, well, that's understandable, but what about the more recent ones? We have 20th century examples of people looking at things and where science hadn't caught up with the facts.
Yeah. So there's a few from in the 1900s. For example, 1953 is the latest one that we have recommended for observation, which was ONeills Bridge. And New York Herald Tribune science editor John J. O'Neill thought he saw a 12-mile-long natural bridge. And some believed it to actually be artificial and therefore made by someone living on the moon, which we know is not true.
This is the
1953.
The era of the pictures that Andrew has behind him on the wall with by Chesley Bonstall.
That's right.
Where there were some things known, but you know, this is the decade before men walked on the moon for the first time. Just the decade before, so that's kind of surprising.
You know what's interesting, Mike? I have to say, I mean, even today there's a lot of mysteries, with the moon. I mean, as a journalist, what's been so interesting for me to follow has been this mysterious lights that have this flashes of light on the moon. And we've discovered only in the last few years that these flashes of light are actual meteors bombarding the moon. Especially during meteor showers around then. Of course, the meteors are slamming the atmosphere of the Earth, but at the same time, they're also pelting the moon. And because the moon has no atmosphere, they actually collide with the moon. And if it's large enough of a stone, a meteor stone, they actually produce a flash of light on impact. And so we amateurs, with their backyard telescopes, have been seeing these flashes here and there, and it's been a huge mystery, and only recently have we been actually confirming these flashes and videoing them and taping them and actually having confirmed evidence what they in fact are.
Wow. Yeah, and so one of the things we saw here, of course, was Sunday. Sunday was a day specially set aside on a Sunday to look at the sun. We've been doing this ever since the 100 Hours of Astronomy Cornerstone Project in 2009 in the International Year of Astronomy. But this year we have a few other things planned for it. And so we have Teresa Bippert-Plymate from Big Bear, California, up in the mountains, not far from Liam and Bob and I. Hi, Teresa. I hope it's nice and sunny up there like it is here today.
It is. It's still a little nippy, but it's nice and sunny at least.
So you are you are there. You moved to Big Bear not too long ago when Claude, your husband, moved from the McMath Pierce Solar Telescope on Kitt Peak to the Big Bear Solar Observatory, and you're kind of involved with things, although he's the employee. But you know the solar community. You guys have been in this for quite a long time.
Yes, I worked there at NSO myself for a number of years, and also at the University of Arizona Stewart Observatory. So that's one of the things that was very nice with that career, was getting to know a lot of folks in the community.
Yeah. So this is professional astronomy, and it's not just about people going out and taking a look, but you're going to bring some new things to Sunday. In fact, it's several days following the Sunday observations by the amateur astronomers, where we're going to have hangouts coming from solar observatories, professional solar observatories in different places around the world, as I understand. And I think Liam's brought up a picture of Big Bear Solar Observatory itself on what looks like a nippy day.
Yeah, I see it. That's I'll just tell you about that. That's planned for Tuesday, April 14th, where we'll have Dr. John Varsic and Claude Plymate talking about the new solar telescope out at the Big Bear Solar Observatory. The new solar telescope is currently tied for largest aperture solar telescope in the world, and they're taking some of the highest resolution data ever been taken on the sun. So they're seeing things that basically haven't been seen before. So it's pretty exciting.
And I think we have an inside view there as well. Well, let's see what Liam has got. Yeah, well, this is inside, looking at the back end of the telescope, I guess. How big is that scope?
It's 1.6 meters, and yeah, that is the back end of the telescope.
And I see a warning sign, which I can't read, but there's a teacher with sunglasses, and I can tell you 1.6 meters pointed at the sun. That is a whole lot of energy. So that's got to be one of the big problems, is just what do you do with all that heat?
What they do with most of it is, surprisingly, they reflect it off onto the back of the dome and use just a very small part of the energy. Because they concentrate it so heavily, they end up with 5 kilowatts of energy at the entrance. So they have to have a liquid-cooled stop, and they have all manner of emergency shutters just in case the beam should get loose, because if it does, it can melt steel, and it has.
Wow, wow. Okay, so what's going to happen here? What will happen on that Tuesday, the 14th?
Well, I'm going to have John. I'm not sure if I'm going to interview them, but we're going to have them interviewed and ask questions about the facility and the research that they're doing. And I've told them to dig up lots of interesting pictures, because there are a lot of very beautiful pictures of the facility, and to explain the very unusual, the telescope is it's an off-axis telescope, and it's a very unusual telescope. So I'd like to have them explain it and some of their new instrumentation to us, and also tell us about some of the research that is coming up with new and unusual things.
So what are some of the other places we're going to hear from at the same time, or similar time?
On Monday, I have Dr. Matt Penn from National Solar Observatory Tucson speaking to us, and this one's a little bit different. He's going to be speaking to us about something called the Citizen Kane experiment. He has gotten funding to do an experiment to take a continuous 90-minute movie of the solar corona during the 2017 total solar eclipse as it goes across the swath of the United States. He's planning to have observers at 61 locations across the United States, and he's planning to do it with the help of amateur astronomers. So this is the logo. He has a website, and if you want, I can spit out the website here. He's speaking at NEAF and at the Riverside Telescope Makers Conference, and I think it'll be pretty exciting, because nobody's ever taken a continuous movie of the solar corona for that long of a duration. So they should find out a lot of interesting things about it that they didn't know.
So this is something that amateur astronomers, members of the public, everybody can take part in, and there will be millions of people literally lining that path as it goes across the United States from the northwest to the southeast. This is the first total solar eclipse to hit the continental United States since 1979, and it's going right across the country under better circumstances than we had in February of '79 in the Northwest. So this is a very big event. This will bring people from all over the world. So he's taking advantage of the enthusiasts here. This is professional work, but it's citizen science. Not just for the people with the most advanced equipment and so on, but I would assume fairly modest and something that everybody can get involved in.
Well, he's planning to use a consistent set of equipment, and I believe the equipment may be supplied. It's something that's being worked on, to use a refractor and a camera so that everybody has the same equipment. So
that would be pretty amazing then. So
yeah,
this is going to be for those who are in the United States or are planning to visit. This is, if you haven't been to a place where there's a total solar eclipse, first of all, you don't know what you're missing. not
Yeah.
seeing the total solar eclipse, because it is truly unbelievable and indescribable. And secondly, you have no idea how much of a zoo it will be. It is chaos, because there will be millions of people pouring into these remote places all across the country, all across the path. So this is taking advantage of something which is already huge for professional purposes and involving people, maybe even supplying the equipment, so something that anybody could do. It's a fantastic study and project that's going on. so, so that's important. And there is one other very unusual facility that I didn't actually even know about, and I'm a little bit in the solar community as well. So tell us about that. This is up in Owens Valley, I think.
Yeah, up in Owens Valley on Wednesday, April 15th, Dr. Del Gary from the Center for Solar Terrestrial Physics in the New Jersey Institute of Technology will be speaking to us about the expanded Owens Valley Solar Array. And this is an array of radio telescopes that are solely dedicated to observing the sun in radio wavelengths. Um, Dr. Gary gave our local association, the Big Bear Valley Astronomical Society, a talk about the EOVSA a couple of months ago, and it was really fascinating what kind of data they do in the radio wavelengths for solar observing, because they can observe a lot of phenomenon that you don't get with the standard visual and near IR solar observations. Some of it was fairly involved because you're looking at Fourier transforms and things like that. I think my head was buzzing by the end of the talk, but it
Yeah.
was very different from a standard solar observation.
Well, hopefully in the presentation for the entire world, we won't be talking about Fourier transforms, because
Yeah,
that,
he just
that'll
he
be
just mentioned the word a few times,
that's enough. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they will be banned from this for the public. But this is an example of the types of things that we do online. Everything that Astronomers Without Borders does has to be accessible to everybody around the world. And because these are online, uh, you can hear from these people directly and also ask questions. And you know what? I think I forgot to mention that our Q&A app on this event is available right now. If anybody watching has questions or comments, pop them in there, and we will do our best to answer them here during the live program. So I think this is really an added value, Teresa, and I appreciate that you are working on this and bringing these inside views that people otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to get. The solar enthusiasts, that community is really growing, and there are people all over the world now doing solar, just like you saw during the Sunday event in Oman and other countries there. And so this is fabulous, and hopefully we'll be able to get more new events like this into the things in the future. So thanks very much, and I'm looking forward to this very much. You know that last year I did a live webcast from the Snow Telescope at Mount Wilson Observatory, because it's something that I've used and love to give people tours of, and that's just the way we can share it with everybody else, and it's just about sharing this wealth of information and experiences. So thanks very much.
Certainly, I love sharing things about the sun, our nearest little star that we love.
Yes, well, yeah, the sun is getting the attention I think that it is due now, as opposed to those of us who have been in astronomy. Most of our lives have come over from the dark side and started doing some solar observing as well. So, and it is fascinating, and we'll show everybody why. So, thank you. Now,
Thank you.
when it comes to sharing things with other people, these are things that we can share with everybody. Everybody has a chance to see things online, but there are also other communities that don't have the ability to take part in things like this, and specifically those who are disabled in some fashion. Astronomy is a very visual pursuit. There are some blind astronomers but you know, that work with the data and so on. But what do you do when you want to share astronomy with those who don't have access to it that way? And so we have Lena Kanash from joining us from
Hi.
Portugal, from
Hi, Mike.
Porto itself. Hi.
Yes.
And
Yes, in Port.
Lena is involved with projects for the sight disabled, which means people whose vision is very poor to
Mhm.
non-existent.
Yes.
And that we have something really exciting. I think this I really love this project. But before we get there, we'll just
Yeah.
have a little bit of suspense here until we reveal the big secret.
Fair enough.
There have been some things Astronomers Without Borders has helped with, some that you've been involved with. One
Yeah.
really important one is a planetarium show
Yeah.
for the sight disabled.
Yeah. The Sky in Your Hands is basically what you described, is a planetarium show with a tactile component that basically allows the viewer, the audience, to follow what's happening in the dome through touch. It's
Okay.
if you can see the image there, the
Yeah, we
photo.
have an image up here, and I want to
Yeah.
point out too that it looks to me
And
like some people are actually looking at the ceiling here.
yes, yes,
Other
because
people have the dome there that they have their
mhm.
hands on. So what's that?
The half sphere on the lap has all the constellations embedded in high relief, where you can feel the constellation that are being projected in the sky, in the dome. And but yeah, like you mentioned, there are several people in the audience that are looking at the dome, at the sky. This is what the reason is, because this is an activity that is for all, is designed for all, meaning that families where one or two members, older or younger, that are visually impaired, and their peers or their families or their groups, their friends that are sighted, they can actually go and enjoy the activity. So basically, it's not only for visually impaired or blind, but also for the group, let's say it.
Fantastic. And I've seen this too in places, in some countries that actually do programs like this. And
Hmm.
it's very instructional
Hmm.
to have sighted people do this and get some idea of what it's like to not be able to see these things, and to understand what other people go through. So, and I think we have a couple more pictures too of the universe in your hands. These,
Yeah.
yes. Mhm.
This one is in Lisbon Planetarium, because let me give you some background on the project. This was really originally designed in 2009 by Amelia Ortiz Gil from Spain, from Valencia, and she produced The Sky in Your Hands in Spanish. Then, uh, via Astronomers Without Borders, we started collaborating together, and we started the English and Portuguese translation. These images are from Portugal, were implemented in two planetariums, one in Espinho, more in the north, and this one is in Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. So these are groups of the previous photo. We could see groups of families. This one is specifically for uh, this show. This specific audience is targeting students. So basically, we had blind students and sighted ones together sharing the same experience, which normally in a planetarium you can't see that sort of experience, because it's such a visual experience that only the sighted students or audiences are more keen to go.
Mhm. So now, this is a fantastic project, and I've been trying to help to get this around the world more. We need to find funds or something that can get this into the hands, literally into the hands of more students and families and people around the world. There are programs for the sight disabled everywhere, and many different types of astronomy programs, and this is a big plus. It doesn't have to be in the planetarium itself either for the
No.
sight disabled. It's the audio track and the dome.
Hmm. Yeah. Basically, there's an audio in Portuguese, Spanish, and in English, and it's available to all. And if you want to request the 3D model for the half spheres, it's also available. So basically, it's a wonderful experience, and everything is for free. So if you want to implement it, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to go to something that's really new here. One of the things that has been accessible for everybody, and Chirstie and Andrew talked about observing for everybody and how we share with everyone. Well, for those people who do not have a telescope handy, or want to see something different, or want to see how astrophotography is done, or anything up to asteroid light curves, even exoplanet transits, there is a way to do that. And thanks to Dr. Gianluca Massi in Italy, an astrophysicist with his own observatory that he uses for these things, we are again going to have online programs, and they focus on different aspects of the universe. It might be focusing on the moon or the planets, it might be stars, it might be different things, and there's one called Stars for All. This one, we're going to expand that all, and we are going to do something to include people who otherwise wouldn't be able to take part. And tell us about the new part of Stars for All.
So basically, we will have the regular observation, but every image that we will be observing, it will be transformed and printed in a swell paper that basically it swells when it's heated. So we could actually be observing live with blind and visually impaired, because through touch we can explore the relief of the high relief of what is being observed, and this is very exciting.
Yeah, and so let's see. So we're looking at a picture of the printer itself as a special device, and I think that we have a picture here that also shows one of the objects. Now, this object actually looks pretty small in this case, but it is something that's tactile, that is produced. Maybe that's a planet. I don't know.
We in this specific event, this wasn't online. This wasn't an online event. It was a concentration of telescopes here in Portugal, where we had locally a telescope connected to a webcam, and we were collecting images live and printing them on site, and so we could explore them. And that one is Saturn. Actually, that is the actual image that we printed, and it was being explored live. So while people were observing, and the exact image that we were observing was being explored also by visually impaired or blind.
So, Andrew, you've been an amateur astronomer a long time too. Have you ever been involved in anything like this before, or with
No, this is something very special. I mean, I'm just amazed at the stuff that, Lena, what you're showing. It's amazing. We're living in a time where we can really expand to this and do this and offer this kind of stuff. I think it really is expanding our borders. I'm very excited to see and we're going to want to see feedback. I'd love to see photographs of people in action taking part in this. We want to see that, and we want to share that with the world. So hopefully everything goes smoothly, and we're going to get this. And this is a great experiment, isn't it? I mean, it's a social experiment in many respects. So, and again, AWB is leading the way in this, in doing this globally and offering this globally. I think it's a fantastic thing that we're involved in, and you know, this is I think everyone should tune in to this and see what happens.
Well, yeah, and Stars for All has always been a great event, and we did this last year, Chirstie. I believe we had Stars for All as well. Do you remember what the stats were on that? Any idea? I mean, Gianluca might get 10,000 people into his events. While you're looking that up, because I put you right on the spot, I'll say
I will look that up and let you know.
He had tens of thousands of people in some of these. The virtual telescope project is. That's hugely successful. I mean, and Gianluca is just a wonderful host, isn't he?
Fabulous. He's fabulous. He's particularly effusive, even for an Italian, and so he's fantastic. And And but here we have something where this online program can be joined in by the sight disabled as well, and these images will be converted very quickly. And it's one of the things, Lena, I don't think we really have any idea how many people or schools might take part in this. It hasn't been offered before.
Yeah,
Is
so
there any way
basically,
to estimate?
no, I don't think so. We are, let's see, let's advertise it, let's talk to schools. We are collaborating also with Galileo Teacher Training Program in this project, so hopefully we'll get the word through schools and people will join all over the world. So let's see.
I hope so. And you know, you mentioned we're partnering with Galileo Teacher Training Program, a partner we partner with quite often. We partner with just about everybody. Collaboration, those that saw the special Hangout with astronaut Ron Guerin recently, know that he says the key is we, that collaborating we can do so much more, and that has always been the case that I have found. And so Galileo Teacher Training Program is just one of them. You work with other organizations as well, so we'll mention others as we go. And in fact, we are going to have specifically, we're going to have, Chirstie says, okay. Yeah, so we are going to have a special event for the Global Star Party as well, which is that we will be partnering with CosmoQuest, which is an important program that does citizen science and also engages people all over the world. And we are going to be bringing the Global Star Party live from different places around the world during their Hangout-a-thon. They'll be doing 36 hours of live broadcasting as part of their annual fundraising effort. And it happens to be on the day of the Global Star Party, so we will check in places around the world in order to show people things like this. And so, Lena, we'll just see what we get. We just don't really know yet what we will have. So I'm hearing something else there. I don't know if that's coming from Danielle who joined us. We just had a couple more people join here. But Chirstie supplied us with a number. His lunar eclipse brought to people online around the world had 80,000 viewers. Here's what's cool about that. So it's somebody's got a lot of noise here. So, Liam, maybe you have to turn somebody off. And when you take part in this, you see what's going on, but you can also put in things into the chat box and ask questions of Jean-Luc. There aren't 80,000 people putting in questions, only a few people, and they talk to each other. And it's really amazing. I love this because people are talking to each other and they're saying, wow, that's great. And it's just like the chatter that you'd have in an observatory dome or a star party where people are talking to each other, except that once in a while somebody says, hey, where is everybody from? And the countries start showing up. And they could be any place, places that you might never think of, might not know where they are. A lot in Europe, a lot in the United States, but also they could be in Zimbabwe, or they could be, you know, any place. And astronomy is everywhere. So I just find those really fun. And in this case, we'll be able to have the sight disabled taking part in it as well. So that's great. So thanks very much. And oh, Lena, I think we have a question for you as well, which is somebody who's asked, do you have models for the southern hemisphere? Is this just northern hemisphere, or what are the domes?
Yeah, that one is the half spheres for the sky in your hands. They are for the well, latitude and longitude of Valencia. Right now, there's not an half sphere equivalent for a more southern places, but that's something that we are constantly creating and collaborating with designers and to produce 3D models, not only for the sky sphere but also for the moon and other planets. So if you are interested, or talk to us, send us an email, and that's something that we can produce and fit your needs.
That's amazing. Lena, are these like using 3D printing technology?
Yes. Yeah, those are the ones that we showed in the photos. Those are printed with the 3D printers. They are fit to be used that way, or to be printed that way. But there's also a component that, or another option that is to, because 3D is quite expensive still, and if we really want to truly reach everyone, there's an equivalent, a tactile equivalent that we can build in low cost with regular items, daily items like buttons and strings, so attached to a half sphere on styrofoam, for instance. So it's not only 3D printing, but if we want to truly reach everyone, even the impoverished communities, we need to think in other materials, alternatives, sustainable alternatives. So that is another option.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and there are places too. I know of people who are doing things like this in India, for example,
Yeah.
in South America, and places where they wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to afford a lot. But I think it's really important to be able to do this. So let's hope we can develop that at the same time. And there are other disabled people who there is special astronomy for we don't have time to go into, but the deaf people, you know, hearing disabled.
Yeah.
I know of somebody who developed special sign language for the terms in astronomy, things like this. So there's a lot of that going on, and I hope that we can support it more. I mean, that's something very important to
Yeah.
me. Thanks, Lena. So,
Thank you.
We are here. We have now. I want to switch over to something else. There are a couple different things that we can talk about here, and we have AstroArts programs as well. This becomes something very, very big in Astronomers Without Borders, and this is something I never envisioned. It was Daniela DePaulis who just joined us, who developed this program, and we also have Bob Eklund to talk about one aspect of that that even started earlier on. But Daniela, we've got a number of things lined up for GAM 2015 and going on throughout the year as well. Daniela joins us from the Netherlands. You're in the Netherlands now, or are you back home in Rome, Daniela? And you're
I'm
muted?
muted.
Yeah,
Yes, I was muted. Hi everyone, and hi Mike. Thanks for crediting me always for the AstroArts program. I'm actually.
Wow. So Daniela seems to have frozen up there from what I can see. I think she's got a poor connection where she is right now. Liam, are we just going to lose Daniela here? Yeah. Okay, so while Daniela is frozen there on the screen, let's go over to Bob, who I mentioned, Bob Eklund, back here in Southern California with some of us. And Bob started the AstroPoetry blog on Astronomers Without Borders. Well, Bob, I always use this as a good example of how wrong I can be about things, because Bob said, hey, I write poetry about this guy, and I'd like to do a blog about it. And I said, well, okay, it's not going to do any harm. Let's just go ahead and do it. It turned out to be just insanely popular, and there are places around the world where astropoetry is a really big thing. And it just shows how astronomy is a part of all of our cultures all through time and everything else. So I think it's fantastic. But Bob, you have developed now a contest, which has become a big thing. Tell us about the astropoetry contest coming up.
Yes, well, we've had this, I guess, starting in 2012, 13, 14, 15. This is probably the fourth year now that we've had the contest, and it's just getting better all the time. People say, well, why have a contest anyway? Well, it stimulates people, really. That's the main thing. It kind of gets them going, gets them to write poetry. And why do we write poetry about the sky anyway? Hey, I know most astronomers kind of work with what is their left brain. They're just kind of thinking in terms of the science of it. But deep within them, they're also being stirred emotionally by the beauty and the wonder of it all. And poetry, writing poetry about what your experience, I think, kind of helps to foster and stimulate that side of it for you. So you sort of cultivate more of appreciation of this wonder. I think an example, I'll take an example from our 2013 contest. The winning poem in the young adult category was from a young lady in China, Ziki Liu in Henan province of China. And English is obviously her second language. But she wrote so movingly, I thought, about the sky, even with a few slight grammatical mistakes, that this poem stood out, and it won first place in the young adult section. It's called, let me just read it short. It's called, I Look Up at the Sky. I look up at the sky. Starlight slowly pour like the firefly. Together we feel the night, feel the starlight. The sun shines bright, the moonlight, warm and soft, but the many, many starlight, they are lovely and I like. So that was it.
Wow.
Grammatically not perfect in English, but who cares? It just moves you. You really see what she was feeling.
Right.
So Mike, I think that's why we write poetry and why we have a contest. We want to have people express, bring out their emotions, the feelings that the stars make them have.
Well, yeah, astronomy is more than.
So I love being a part of this.
Yeah. Astronomy is more than a science. We always talk about astronomy, the night sky, as being awed by it, by being inspired by it, and all these different things that you don't necessarily feel when you engage in something else. And Andrew is sharing with us actually the AstroPoetry contest page, where anybody can take a look and join in. But it's just about expressing those feelings that we have when we're out under the night sky, or looking at the sun, or whatever it happens to be in astronomy, and takes us off of our planet and into the rest of the universe. And that's not just about the facts, it's about the feelings and the inspiration that we get from it. So I've learned quite a bit about that, and it's been terrific. Tell us how many entries
and Mike, I think it's especially.
Go ahead.
Oh my goodness! Well, last year we had about 250 entries, and we're about 15 or somewhere between 15 and 20 countries. We started the contest a little earlier this year. We started at the 1st of March, and it will go on until the end of April. And we've already gotten entries from, oh my goodness, Australia, Sweden, Singapore, and several from the USA. And so they're starting to come in. We're looking especially to get more this year from the school children. If you can get children to start looking at the sky and appreciate the moon and understand the planets a little bit, I think that's especially important in giving the grounding of who we all are on this planet. I think that's where we want to work. So in working for that, we've developed some activities for classrooms that we haven't had before. We're hoping this year to really involve teachers more and get them to help their. Yes, Chirstie helped us a great deal with that, and thank you, Chirstie. And we are hoping to really get more input. Yeah, last year we got some fine poems from, particularly in India. We had a lot of participation in the schools in India. And Mike, I don't know if I could have 1 minute more. I had one really cute little poem from an Indian boy or girl. I can't really tell by these names, but it is so cute. May I just read this a few lines here?
Sure.
This poem is about the moon. It is going to end soon. The moon comes in the night. It does not have its own light. The first man to go there was Neil Armstrong. Well, really, am I wrong? Now you know all about the moon well. Go and ring the intelligence bell.
Wow.
I just thought that was a cute one, and
Okay.
that came from India, where English is still a second language, I guess, for most everybody, and so people who aren't even native English just do marvelous things with poetry. I'm very thrilled to be part of this, Mike.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, you brought a lot to it, and unfortunately, Daniela DePaulis, who has started the whole AstroArts program, which now has incorporated the AstroPoetry blog and many other things, the AstroArtist of the Month, and much more, has not got a good connection where she is. She's traveling right now, and the connection is not very good. So I think, but we have plenty to talk about as far as AstroArt's coming up for this coming month, and we're getting a little short on time. Daniela, we will get to you and all of those things before too long. I just recommend to people that they take a look at the arts and culture programs on Astronomers Without Borders and within Global Astronomy Month as well. And we do have a few things. Well, let's see. Liam is cycling through some images. Liam, I'm going to go ahead and talk very quickly about some of the things that you have there right there. Myths on the Birth of the Universe, a Hangout. This is something that's very different and very interesting. The creation myths of different cultures, somebody who has studied that extensively, and this is, he's a science historian and an actor. So he always does a great presentation, and these are things that we can learn from other cultures about what their ideas of the universe are going back through time. And Liam, I think we've got a couple other things there. Oh, a picture on the moon. Well, Daniela's own project is called OPTIKS. It's an acronym. She uses moonbounce, which sends images to the moon and brings them back and reconstructs them. Now, this month, since we're sort of focusing on the moon more than usual, her program, which is performance art as well as a lot of engineering with radio amateurs, you send these images and retrieve them, will include a couple of lunar-themed images. One is what's being shown here now, which is a photograph of Charlie Duke and his family. And this picture is actually taken on the moon. This is a picture he took with him when he landed on the moon in Apollo 16 and left there and took a picture of it, and it's still up there on the moon, probably bleached out. We'll be sending that picture back to the moon. Charlie has agreed to let us use it, and will send us a copy of it to use, a clean copy, and bringing it back this time rather than leaving it there. Also, astronaut and moonwalker Alan Bean we will have some of his artwork. He has done a great deal of art since returning from the moon, and we'll be sending one of his to the moon and back as well. So these are really interesting things to do, and it invokes different feelings. But we don't have enough time to talk about all the different things we could have. Chirstie, I wanted to ask you. So Bob was talking about the children, loves the stuff that comes from them. You work at Sydney Observatory, and you work with the public. Lots of kids coming there all the time from schools and so on.
Yeah, definitely. We get lots of school kids coming through, night tours and day tours.
So you're used to seeing how much the kids love this stuff. What have we got for kids? What do you think you would recommend for families in particular?
I think for families, we've got a lot of different events, but there's a lot of different ways to get involved. But definitely look at our registered events and see if there are any happening near you, because they might be running star parties and those activities, which are definitely good for families. And then we've also got a few interesting ones to do with dark skies awareness. So if you wanted to get involved in that, which is raising awareness about keeping the sky dark and having proper lighting at night, because as you know, in the city we can't see the stars as well because of light pollution. So kids could get involved, for example, in our Globe at Night program, which is where you actually get to go outside and take measurements of the sky, so the kids can get involved and do some real science there and actually help contribute to a large-scale scientific study about the effect of light pollution on the night sky.
Well, I think that's really important too, because our children are growing up in cities, and this is true for a lot of adults. They've never seen the night sky. I mean, people don't recognize that what they're seeing in some of these incredible photographs are really what the sky looks like. They don't know what they're missing, and as we've seen, astronomy is in every culture, and it goes back in time as far back as the record, and we've become disconnected with it. So I think that's a really important educational aspect to it as well, to just get out there and maybe learn what's really happening and what we're really missing, reconnect with the sky. Now, an important project to bring that awareness along with Globe at Night, which is also a collaborative program. Most of our programs are really just working with people to make them worldwide, or to bring some aspect that wasn't part of any existing programs before. So we do have joining us from his home in Germany, where he just arrived, coming back from Iceland for the total solar eclipse, and fortunately he's got his head eclipsing the light. Babak, you got your laptop pointing right up at your lights there. But Babak Tafrashi, from Iran, now living in Germany, and he just joins us after this trip, during which, Babak, you let your hair grow. You need to go get a haircut after this. But Babak started the World at Night, and this is an unbelievable project that has really shown some amazing pictures to people about what the night sky really looks like in places around the world. And the night sky looks the same. We all share the same sky, but the foreground is what's different. And this project is well known, and I don't think we have time to go into all of that. But the TWAN, the World at Night photo contest, has become huge, and I think we have some of the winning entries from last year as well. So while we show those, Babak, tell us about the TWAN photo contest, and two important categories, one of which is also about dark skies awareness. So tell us what that's about, and we'll look at some of the winners in the meantime.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, everyone. Glad to be with you. I just arrived, as Mike mentioned, from an imaging trip and a workshop in Iceland, which was fantastic, especially during one of the major aurora storm in the past decade, so probably the most active aurora display in the last 5-6 years, and right in the Arctic area, so it was just amazing. But regarding the contest, each year we usually have participants, submissions from about 40 to 50 countries. It's slowly growing by the diversity of countries, especially last year we had received many images from several Asian countries which never participated before. So I'm really looking forward to see more new countries submitting images to TWAN from those bizarre landscapes they have in their country and the magnificent dark sky they have. But this is one part of the contest, to show the beauty of night sky in its untouched, unspoiled perspective. So somewhere in a national park, in mountains of Nepal or Tibet. But another side of the contest is to show the problem of the light pollution and how it's fading away the natural night sky. So this contrast is one of the main messages of TWAN contest. So many of these images are just placed in these two different categories. Some are also bridging between the two, like showing one part of the natural beauty of night sky, for example, over the western horizon, while on the north there is a town with a light dome. So anything that can inspire people, public, about how our night sky is vanished away or touched by light pollution, or why the night sky in its natural beauty is important to us, to our life, as an element of our life, would be relevant to the contest. As you mentioned as well, astronomy is something beyond science. Of course, it's related a lot to science and exploration of universe, but from a broader sense, night sky is just part of our life. It's 50% of our nighttime environment. And this contest is trying to bring this back idea to people who view these images.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend the participant to highlight these perspectives in their images. Of course, the contest review some of the astronomical phenomena that happened during the past year, because the submissions need to be new. All the images should be taken during the past 1 year. That means starting by January 1st, 2014. And the last day to submit images is on the Earth Day, April 22nd.
Okay. And how many entries, how many countries last year took part?
Last year, about 50 countries. Entries were over 1,000. After filtering out some irrelevant or very poor images, we had like 1,000 images entered the contest. We had then second filtration, 700 images were actually judged by the contest judging panel.
That's a huge job.
By the way, we also have a variety of people in the contest judging panel. Some are astrophotographers from Tuan team members. Some are more active in the dark sky program, like Connie Walker, who was from the beginning of the contest as one of the judging panels and co-organizers. Some are very experienced photographers in general, like we have James Richardson, who is a major photographer of National Geographic staff. He was a senior photographer for the past 3 decades. Or we have David Mayling from Australia. He's perhaps the most accomplished astrophotographer and a pioneer in many techniques we are using today, but mainly using telescopes. So these people are advisors in our judging panel. Some more other people of the panel are active today in astrophotography as well. And each year we are changing 3 or 4 of the judges with new people.
They're going to have a big job this year, I guess. And one of the things that happens with these images, too, the winning images that we've seen some of, get featured on some very important websites. And one of the people that writes about them, in this case for National Geographic, is Andrew, our communications manager, who also writes the astronomy stuff for National Geographic, as well as Canada, Yahoo News, and sometimes appears on Canadian Broadcasting Company. So, Andrew, when did you start featuring these on National Geographic? It's been a few years now.
Oh yeah, I mean, the stuff from Tuan is something that basically images from the night sky is extremely popular. People love it. I mean, even on our AWB's social media page, whenever we feature some of these beautiful shots, these expansive shots, it really gets people excited. They want to naturally share these things. So, at National Geographic, the editors and I realized a long time ago that this is something that just captures people's imaginations, and it's been just very popular, and people want to see what the night sky has to offer. And I think with what we've seen coming out of this contest year in and year out, it's jaw-dropping. Everybody just loves to see that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to the universal nature of astronomy. It's something we're all in touch with and we all love. There's so much more happening in Global Astronomy Month. I wish we had would take hours to talk about it all. These are just a few of the highlights. I want to encourage everybody to check it out at GAM, GAM-AWB.org, or look at astronomerswithoutborders.org and see what's going on. We want everybody to register their events. We know there are thousands of events going on around the world. We'd like to get people to actually register them, share them with other people, put in reports about their activities both beforehand and your plans, as well as reports afterwards especially, and we'll have new tools for that on our own website as well as on Facebook and everything else. So, but I think we're going to go on forever, and Chirstie here, who seemed to have a case of the giggles there for some reason. So I'm just trying to embarrass poor Chirstie. So it's early in the morning. Yeah.
It's very early. It's not too early now, actually.
Not too early now. Okay, that's good. So, Chirstie, I mean, these are just a few of the things that we've been able to talk about here. What do you think? Do we have some other things that people should take a look at, or what do you suggest? What is the best way for people to get involved, learn about what it is that's going on?
Well, we've actually got a how to get involved resource, which might be of use. So if you go to the GAM page, on the right-hand side on the menu bar, there's resources, and one of them is titled How to Get Involved, and it's got a few suggestions of activities you can do depending on what sort of category you fall into, whether you're an amateur astronomer or a novice or a parent or a teacher. There's a range of activities there.
Yeah, and Andrew is showing that right now, and I don't know if Liam noticed, but okay, so Liam has got that up there as well. As you may have noticed, we can't tell what's going out live here, but Liam is always on the ball. So Chirstie, there it is, what you were talking about here. Ideas for everybody, and some good pictures of what the thing is all about as well. So
yeah, and they're just suggestions. So you can definitely get involved in more than we've listed there, but there are a few good points to get you started.
Okay. So, and if you want to know more about GAM, if you want to hear the latest news, you can join Astronomers Without Borders. Membership is always free to anybody that just wants to join. We do very much need support from the community as well, and we have contributing memberships and always accept donations. But nobody should feel like they have to. If you want to hear about what's going on, you'll be on the mailing list if you join Astronomers Without Borders, even free membership, and just take part. Just see what's going on. There's a great deal more there that we don't have time to talk about. So, I think now, unless anybody else has got a final word to say, just pipe up. But we could go on all day or all night, depending on which continent you're on, and we will go on for a whole month, starting very, very soon, and it's going to be a very exciting month, and we hope that you will follow it all. So from my home in California and everybody else's in Australia and Europe and everywhere else around the world, I want to thank you for joining us. This Hangout will also be available in the archives if you want to show any part of it to friends of yours or anybody else, or suggest it as some ideas. Go check it out on YouTube. It will be there in the Astronomers Without Borders channel. So from all around the world to all of you around the world, say good night, good morning, good day, whatever it is. And we hope to see you taking part in Global Astronomy Month and sharing with us what you're doing. So thanks for watching.